Terry takes that out. I think you're saying for course of action does not allow the gas station. Unless you can say that you could say it'll be allowed as soon as the zoning on the C2 parcel changes. You can make it a precondition to the gas station. And you could just say that it's not effective, the gas station, the zone, it's not a permitted use until the adjacent zoning changes.
This webinar is being transcribed and summarized.
Lazy.
We ready? Yes, sir. Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we will stand for a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have the roll call, please.
Jamie Girardi.
Here.
Christopher Poole.
Here.
John Moody.
Here.
Matthew Munns. Derek Potlitz.
Here.
Liam Devine.
Here.
Chairman Charles Gray.
Here. And the proof of publication, please.
The items are advertised in the Tampa Bay Times on December 17th, 2025, and by affidavit of certified mailings and site postings.
All right. If there are no questions about the minutes, then I would hear a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
All of the minutes.
Second.
That's from C1 to C7.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion of the minutes? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, minutes are approved. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody today. We're the Planning Commission, and we meet twice monthly. We're appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. We serve as a local planning agency, and we hold public hearings and transmit to the Board of County Commissioners our recommendations on comprehensive plan amendments, land development code amendments, rezonings, and conditional use requests. Planning Commission is the final decision-making body for special exceptions, certain appeals, variance requests, certain alternative standard requests. However, final decisions may be appealed to the Board of County Commissioners. If anyone is in opposition to any land development code amendment, rezoning, conditional use, or any item where the Planning Commission makes a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, it will be important for you to attend the Board of County Commissioner meeting. Those of you who are not familiar with the format of our meetings, we have 3 sections. Section for continuances, consent items, and regular items. Consent items are typically those items that where either the staff or the applicant has requested a continuance for any number of reasons. It's been our tradition to approve such requests unless there are extenuating circumstances. And I don't believe we have any requests for continuance today. Is that right? Is that right?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Then we have consent items, and those are items where we've not received any objections or letters of concern from the public, and those will be on consent, but I don't think we have any consent items today. But we do have a regular item, and that's an item that will be fully vetted today. People will have an opportunity to come up and ask questions and get responses, and also there'll be presentation by the applicant, the applicant's representative. Applicants will have up to 5 minutes to make their presentation. Questioners will have 3 minutes, and then the applicant will have an opportunity to come up and answer any questions that are still outstanding. And then we also have a period right now we're going to have for public comment. If there's anybody here to discuss anything that is not on today's agenda, this would be the time to do it. Before we get started, 2 things. Please silence your phones so you don't interrupt anybody that's speaking. And also I'd like you to, anybody who plans to speak, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn. Anybody who plans to speak.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
Okay. So do we have anybody here for public comment? There's something that is not on today's agenda. Okay. Anybody on WebEx?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. I think we're ready to start. Let's go ahead.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission members. Kurt Syverson of Planning Development and Economic Growth. We have no continuance or consent items on today's agenda. We have 2 public hearing items on the regular agenda, and they are companion projects.
Okay.
Item PC8, you will be sitting as the local planning agency for. This item has a companion rezoning. Item PC9, we have received letters of opposition and registered members to speak today.
Okay.
PC8 is comprehensive plan amendment, CPA 24 parentheses 03, Elite 52 PD, providing for a comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map 2-15 and sheet 12 from AG agricultural and AGR agricultural rural to PD plan development on approximately 156 acres of real property located north of State Road 52, approximately 0.6 mile east of the intersection of State Road 52 and US Highway 41. And a text amendment creating sub-area policy flu 7.1.81 Elite 52 PD and a map amendment to the future land use map 2-9, adding sub-area map 2-9 parentheses 81 Elite 52 PD to be presented by staff.
All right. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission members. Gianna German, Planning Development and Economic Growth. today I have, item P8 is PDE 260016, a comprehensive plan amendment in the name of CPA 2303 Elite 52 PD. The applicant is proposing to amend the future land use from AG agricultural and AGR agricultural rural to PD plan development to allow for a mixed-use development on approximately 156 acres, situating the 175,000 square feet of commercial and retail space and the 120-room hotel towards the front of the property, abutting State Road 52, and 108 single-family detached units as well. The northeastern portions of the property are located in a rural transition area. However, within the binding concept plan that will be explained on the companion MPUD to this item, the applicant is not proposing to develop within the rural transition area. This property is located on the north side of State Road 52 and east of US 41, and there is a sub-area policy being created, policy 7.1, 7.1.81, the name of Elite SR 52 PD. As previously mentioned, there is a companion rezoning, an MPUD in the name of RZ 7811. This property is located in the North Market area, and portions of the site are located within the rural transition area. Here is an aerial showing US 41 to the west and State Road 52 on the southern frontage of the subject site. A context map noting that the rural transition area encompasses portions of the proposed project and that there are numerous MPUDs in the surrounding area. Longleaf, Tibbetts Land at Gowers, and Sandridge MPUD, all to the west. There are similar proposals within a mile from the subject site to that of the applicants. A transportation map, again showing US Highway 41 to the west, State Road 52 on the southern frontage of the subject site, and there is a 12-foot multi-use path currently in the design phase on the proposed north side of State Road 52, which does abut the subject site. The current future land use, we have AGR to the east, AG to the north, and then Connerton Newtown to the south, and Res 3 to the west. And then the proposed future land use of PD. The sub-area policy, again highlighting the 175,000 square feet of retail, office, and commercial, 120-room hotel, 108 single-family detached, and again stating that the southern portion of the project of the subject site shall contain non-residential uses. The proposed amendment is consistent with the following comprehensive plan policies. And we find the proposed amendment consistent with, we ask that you find the proposed amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners, and I am here if you have any questions.
Okay, do we have any questions?
Mr. Chair, did you want to open up the public hearing for P9 as well and hear these together?
Probably makes sense, yeah.
Then you probably want to have staff present P9 first.
Okay. Who's going to be presenting P9? Will? Okay.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission members. William Vermillion, Planning Development Economic Growth. This is the companion rezoning to the CPA that Ms. Gianna just presented. This is the Elite SR 52 MPUD PDE 267811. This is a rezoning request from AR Agricultural Residential and AC Agricultural District to MPUD Master Plan Development District to allow for the maximum development of 108 single-family detached homes, 175,000 square feet of commercial retail, and 120 hotel rooms and associated infrastructure on approximately 156.2 acres. This is in central Pasco County, 0.6 miles east of the intersection of State Road 52 and US Highway 41. The location map, an aerial of the site, the current future land use, and the current zoning. This is the MPUD master plan the red area indicating commercial, the yellow indicating residential, and to the south, you can see a little bit of orange along State Road 52. That is indicative of right-of-way dedication based on the 60% design plans from FDOT's widening of SR 52 in this area. I'll get a little bit more in depth whenever I get to the concept plan. I know that there's a couple more things I'd like to address that didn't fall within the master plan's purview. On this context map, I have highlighted here for the benefit of the Planning Commission the runway protection zone and the approach surface of the Pilot Country Airport. The approach surface highlighted in green and the runway protection zone indicated by that dashed black and white polygon there. You can see to the northwest is the Talavera MPUD, which is 840 dwelling units. Just to the west of the airport exists a current RMH zoning, which has roughly 108 single-family detached dwelling units built within that R1MH zoning, roughly 40-foot lots there. In red, you can see the subject site into the south of State Road 52 exists, a portion of the Connerton MPUD that's currently been used for a wetland mitigation bank. I would like to highlight here off screen, the airport influence area exists according to LDC section 605, which governs the airports in Pasco County. This site does fall within the AIA. And within the AIA, I'd just like to highlight the compatibility table from the Land Development Code as it relates to this proposal, particularly to some of the uses that are found along State Road 52. The Land Development Code with these uses, particularly the residential, the single-family dwelling units proposed, as well as the hotel and the commercial, are a permissible use pursuant to LDC Section 605 and Table 605-1. This is the binding concept plan. Before this item almost came before the Planning Commission, and it had been continued for a number of months. The original proposal was for 300 platted townhomes. In this case, the applicant worked with some of the surrounding stakeholders to decrease some of the residential density that would have been found next to the airport, and in lieu switched to this 108 single-family detached plan with the larger lots indicated in purple, those 60-foot lots, to be adjacent to the airport with an increased buffering element on the rear side of those homes. This is a zoomed-in version of what the enhanced buffer detail is. You can see that there's an increased height of the wall outside of what's usually found in the Land Development Code, where it usually speaks to between 6 to 8 feet, as well as an increased amount of shade trees and evergreen shrubs. It should be pointed out that generally residential uses don't have to buffer against one another, and that this is above and beyond what the Land Development Code would have required. There are 2 variations from the Land Development Code associated with this MPUD, one from 901-6011 street design and dedication requirements. The applicant's proposing not to provide an interconnect to the north or to the west. To the north exists a large category wetland, and to the west is the Pilot Country Airport. And finally, from LDC section 8056, restrictions on post-development wetlands and upland buffers. This is for those portions of wetland that fall within the non-residential portion of the MPUD, that if under single ownership, those entities will be required for the maintenance thereof of the common areas wetlands. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions from Planning, Development, Economic Growth, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay. Anybody?
I also would like to state on the record, since we did decrease the density of the residential, Mr. Devine did provide an updated school impact analysis, which is less student generation than the previous 300 platted townhomes, which will be submitted to the clerk's office and attached for the Board of County Commissioners. We also received letters of oppositions from the public, which have also been sent to the clerk's office.
Okay, thank you.
That was the only thing I was going to make a note of, is the, looks like the updated ones in the comprehensive plan amendment companion item, but it looks like the old one was included in the rezone.
I got started a little early with approvals before the holidays, before I got that from Mr. Devine, so a little bit on my overeagerness, but it will certainly be attached to BCC.
Yeah, because it looks like the updated ones there in the comprehensive plan. It was dated 9th of October 25.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, William.
Will, just one quick question for you. Regarding the airport zones, I know you had the slide in there, and that's definitely helpful. I'm glad you had it in there, but isn't part of the property in the airport zone in addition to the airport influence area?
So this is the various zones that are identified in 605. So the RPZ and the approach surface there don't fall on this subject property, which are your more restrictive areas in 605. And then in a 2-mile radius is where that AIA exists, which this property is inclusive of. And that's where this table came into effect that said what the permissible uses would be.
The only reason I asked that question is because isn't there another zone in between those two in the AIA? Because I think if you go to table 605.1, there's an AZ column, and the hotels are additional review requirements in that section. I think at the end of the day, it'll be okay, and I think that those additional items get reviewed during site plan, more so than during zoning. I just wanted to point that out before it goes to the board, so maybe you can just look into that.
Absolutely, I certainly will.
Mr. Girardi, there actually is a condition, condition 54, that I think addresses that issue.
Okay.
It says that it is in the AZ and that it's subject to additional review at the time of site plan.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that. I just wanted to point out because just in the presentation there, it's a little confusing. So
I can certainly make that more clear.
okay, thank you. Very good.
Thank you. And the applicant?
Good afternoon, Barbara Wilhite, 6327 Grand Boulevard. For the applicant suffering from a cold, that's what you get for stopping working and trying to vacation. So bear with me. This project was on your agenda at one point. My client asked me to put it on hold so he could meet with the Pilot Country neighborhood. As staff has told you, we were in for 300 platted townhomes. After those meetings, we went back and had a lot of meetings as a team, and the client directed us to change the application for 108 single-family detached homes instead of the townhomes. Those consist of 60-foot lots. We were very thoughtful of putting the 60-foot lot where we put our 60-foot lots and 50-foot lots. And we have the enhanced buffer that we always said from day one that we would do to Pilot Country. What's interesting is if you look at Pilot Country to the west, it's Res 3 land use. And our proposed density now, before with townhomes, was 5.5 dwelling units per net acre, and now it's 2.0. So that's a big change. It's definitely consistent with Pilot Country. I zoned both the properties on the west side of Pilot Country, one being the single-family detached neighborhood that's adjacent to Pilot Country on their western boundary, and those are 40-foot lots. I also zoned apartments directly adjacent to Pilot Country on their west, and those were also found consistent and compatible. I think the towns were absolutely consistent and compatible, given both the history of the zonings in the area as well as the airport ordinance. But again, the client, I'm sure there's folks that are still not happy and don't want us to develop, but I think what we've come up with is a very good project. Given the area, this is going to be either 4 or 6 lane arterial. It's going to be a large roadway. You can see how it already is developing up to this point. So we tried to come up with something very thoughtful. As far as airport compatibility, yes, it is in the AZ zone. It is compatible and consistent, and we are complying with everything. Fortunately, as we bring this zoning forward, we have that ordinance. When I had the other 2 zonings, we didn't have that ordinance. So it was a lot of how should it be done, what should be allowed. A lot of work went into that. Fortunately, the county did the airport protection ordinance and looked at and studied each one of these airports, studied what's compatible, and put all in an ordinance for us to follow. So now it's not as much of a question of what should we approve here, because we have an ordinance that says what can be approved and still protect, and a balance, still protect the airport and the airport community, but also allow a project. So I think we've we worked hard on this one, and we hope we can get your support. I have my team here. We look forward to answering questions from the public, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Any questions? All right. So who's on the first on the list?
The first individual signed up to speak is Mr. Craig Kanatsi.
Okay,
And I'm not sure who's keeping time, but they technically have 6 minutes since they're speaking to 2 items.
okay. So we need your name and your address, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Greg Conity, and I own 2 pieces of property on the north side of the proposed. And this,
Sorry, Greg, we need your address too. Your living
my address is 12110 Conity Road, and that's in Spring Hill.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
My concern is that I've lived there since 1994. I live on a 10-acre lot adjacent to the property, and I also own 60 acres that is adjacent to the property with my sister. I've seen flooding there many times back in 1997, 2008, and most recently the 2 hurricanes that came in 2024. I'm worried that because the water has come all the way up to my house a couple times, that taking away any kind of area where the water can go is just going to drive it more in my direction, and I don't want to have any flooding up towards my house. And that's my main concern right now, is just that. And, you know, I'm running cattle over there on my property, and I don't want to have cows getting out and getting into somebody's neighborhood, and it would just be very bad. So those are my main concerns, and I'm not opposed to growth. I know it's happening.
Yeah.
And so that's all I really got to say. But
All right.
Thank you for giving me the time.
Oh, thank you for coming. Appreciate that. And we'll try to get you some answers. Okay. Who is next?
Mr. Chair, the next individual signed up to speak is Dennis Henderson.
Hello, my name's Dennis Hertenstein. I live at 11757 Jogger Lane, Spring Hill, Florida, 34610. As a general contractor whose livelihood depends on new development, I'm not here today in opposition of development. I'm here to advocate for a responsible development through a cohesive transition and zoning changes between properties. Both the existing subdivisions on each side of the proposed development are zoned AR1, AR5, and ER2. These types of AR developments are becoming increasingly rare in Pasco County. I'd like for the board to consider an approval of this project with a few conditions, which would go a long way to addressing some of these quality of life issues that would affect the current residents in the area. Number 1, high-density homes. Homes built on this size lot, this close together, would most likely have a negative impact on the current home values, and through which overcrowding, traffic issues, school overcrowding, which Land O'Lakes High School is already at 111% capacity. This would increase to 112% according to the applicant's data provided to this board. Life safety, spread of fire between structures built close together, which according to the U.S. Fire Administration 10-year trend, 2014 to 2024, show a significant jump in residential fires. Item number 2, flooding, which the previous gentleman just mentioned. I mean, we already have lots in Pilot Country that are affected by flooding from this property. Number 3, the hotel. This type of business typically doesn't remain viable in an area such as this one over time. It'll start to attract a criminal activity as the standards start to decline. In closing, I believe the following conditions placed on this project would help ease some of my concerns and those of my neighbors. Number 1, density. Density of more than 1 to 2 family homes per acre with a front and rear setback of 30 foot and a side of 15. Number 2, no wood or vinyl fence along the western boundary of the site, but would require a continuous minimum 6 foot tall engineered concrete wall to be built to withstand a minimum 130 mile-an-hour wind loads, and a screen buffer of 15 foot wide consisting of shade trees and shrubs in accordance with Chapter 900 of the Land Development Code. I would also like to see a bond, of some value, maybe $5 million or something, put into place for a minimum of 10 years to address any kind of future flooding issues. Number 4, no type of hotel included in this project, and I'd like to see some current traffic and public safety surveys, before the project moves forward. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Next.
Mr. Chair, the next individual signed up to speak is Caitlin Buell.
Okay. Caitlin, can we have your name and address, please?
Absolutely. Caitlin Buell, 11934 Driver Lane.
Thank you.
My name is Caitlin Buell, as I said. My backyard borders this planned or proposed development. I'm a flight nurse on a helicopter. My husband is a professional pilot, and in his spare time, he teaches other people how to fly airplanes. He even taught me how to fly an airplane, which is impressive. All that to say, our personal and professional lives are wrapped up in aviation. We bought our first home here in Pilot Country, and there is truly no other place like it. I would like to say thank you to all of you for doing what you do. I'm grateful that we share the goal of maintaining Pilot Country as a lively general aviation airport and as a resource for the residents of Pasco County. You know what I mean.
Yep.
All that said, I think putting people's houses under low-flying air traffic in an otherwise rural area is bananas. I would encourage all of you to find some people in the Publix parking lot to talk to about this, because it's not just me. Pretty much everyone outside this room thinks this is bananas. But here we are talking about it, so I will move on. I have some concerns that I hope will be easy fixes. As the development is proposed now, it would decrease the privacy and thus the property value of my home, as well as all but one of the Pilot Country homes that border the area. I see there's a buffer planned, which is great, but unfortunately, with as small as these lots are, any two-story house would be high enough and close enough to the fence to see into our yards and our homes. So having 5 or 6 second-story windows looming overhead would negatively affect our use and enjoyment of our backyard. If you look at the developer's drawing, you'll notice one house does not have this problem. The guy pushing this rezoning effort lives in the house that backs up to the park. He has protected his own home from the decrease in privacy that he is imposing on his neighbors. That's great for him. That's his right to propose it. I support him in following his heart. I hope his dreams stay big, his worries stay small, and he never needs to carry more than he can hold. But I would like to ask you to help achieve a similar consideration of privacy for the rest of us. If it could be specified in the plan that the houses bordering Pilot Country would be limited to a single story, that would allay my concerns. Not having any two-story houses right at the border of Pilot Country would make the buffer effective at preserving everyone's privacy and could allow the development to move forward if that is really what you want.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions? Nothing?
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
not sure if I understood what you're saying. You're saying the gentleman that owns the home adjacent to the park is the applicant?
Yes.
Or who is that gentleman?
Mark 12-11.
And he's the applicant for the current zoning?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chair, the next individual signed up to speak is Chris Buell.
Okay.
Thanks for everybody's time. Christopher Buell, 11934 Driver Lane. I'll give different concerns than what those that have already been brought up. Main one for me is airport noise, and that those that are going to be moving into these areas are fully aware beforehand, before they noise for airports, especially small ones like ours, are a big risk for us maintaining our property, our ability to use the airport itself. I'm curious if an FAA noise study has been done recently so that people moving into this new neighborhood have an accurate understanding of what they'd be exposing themselves to. I know recently, now we have a private jet that is now based at the airport that's also related to this, the applicants for this project. Those are the big things that concern me. The water and the flooding that Craig brought up is also a big concern. We see that quite a bit with the bigger storms already. I know that's a concern for our neighbors that are on the northwest side of Pilot Country that had that more recent development of similar size and density put in over there. They've had significant flooding issues since that project. Again, kind of plowing over the wetland area that was there before. So those are two of my big concerns with the rezoning and the development just to the east of Pilot Country.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything up here? Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, the last individual we have pre-registered to speak is Mark Budd.
Okay.
Mark Budd, 11748 Driver Lane. I live at Pilot Country.
Okay.
I actually live just south of Mark Twalhoven, one of the applicants. And I share all the same previous people, pretty much verbatim, all their concerns.
Okay.
And property values, privacy, all those same things. And I'd also like to see if this project were to move forward, either decrease in density, definitely limited one-story homes just to the east of Pilot Country in that border, potentially a larger buffer zone, anything to keep our privacy that we currently have that'll be already somewhat compromised. Take that into account. Also in the verbiage, I can't remember which document it was, it talks about notifying these new potential owners that they can't sue or complain or anything about the airport operations, the noise, any liability issues, any safety issues that they might be concerned about. They're giving that all up. But it says to the airport owner. Bear in mind that every member of the HOA is an airport owner, right? Because the HOA owns a portion of the airport. And I would like to see that wording associated with being an owner.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the last speaker.
Mr. Chair, all individuals pre-registered have been called.
Okay. Is there anybody that would like to speak that hasn't had an opportunity?
Cindy Buckle, 5938 Frontier Drive, Zephyr Hills, Florida. And I totally understand what these folks are saying about Pilot Country. I'm familiar with the area. I have seen the flooding out there, not just from hurricanes, but just from regular rains. I also live near Zephyr Hills Airport, which is where Skydive City is. I've lived there for a long time and never had an issue with Skydive City, but they extended the runway not for Skydive City, but for the airport, Zephyr Hills Airport. And since they've done that, we have 7 planes flying barely above our tree line. And I have contacted FAA. I have a contact at FAA that I will share with these people so they can talk to them. The bakery that's going up right now has already complained about how low those planes are flying in. There's absolutely no reason for them to fly barely above our treetops. I have several videos of this. There are no communications whatsoever at Zephyr Hills Airport. They have a little metal building that's opened on Monday through Friday, and everybody else who flies just takes off and flies whenever they want. There's no kind of tower, there's no kind of communications except pilot to pilot, and that does not happen often. I have spoken with one pilot that crashed on Ash. I actually went and spoke to him, and he told me he tried to raise someone at Zephyr Hills Airport several times at 6 p.m. in the afternoon and was not able to. Fortunately, he was able to nosedive in a cow pasture after he took out fences, residential fences, and barely missed a dwelling. So putting homes in a 2 or 3 story resort where planes fly, you're looking for a catastrophic incident. And I can tell you right now, I'm a retired firefighter paramedic, and I know Pasco County has absolutely 0 aviation training. Polk County does and Hernando County does. So should there be a crash, should there be a catastrophic crash, you're gonna have to call in help from everywhere. And this is a fact. This is coming from my FAA contact.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? No one on the list, right? Anybody on WebEx? No, sir. Okay. Barbara?
For the record, Barbara Wilhite, again, on behalf of the applicant. Listened to the public comment, anticipated a lot of their comment when we first put this project together, and then when we put it back together again. I would say for our neighbor to the north, if you look at our binding concept plan, along our northern boundary is a pond and wetlands. So we have no home adjacency, home adjacent to that northern boundary. With regard to the comments.
Could you put that back up on the screen so everybody can see it? Sorry, Barbara.
No, absolutely, it's helpful. It's always good to see.
Yeah, I'm a visual
So you
guy.
can see along the northern is where we put our pond and the wetlands are.
Right, that green area.
The density you hear from, we heard that as well. That's why we changed from townhomes to single-family detached, from a 5.5 units per net acre to 2.0. Buffering, we, right from the beginning, looked at the buffering and proposed an enhanced buffer. We hear that single-story versus two-story comment a lot. I hear it a lot. The single-story and two-story homes coexist next to each other, near each other, everywhere. The airport noise, there are conditions 54, 55, and 56 that deal with the disclosures regarding the noise. We worked with, I worked with, and we worked with the county in putting that ordinance together to get those disclosures right. And so if there was something that the disclosure language wasn't, if there was some comment on that, I would be happy to listen to, you know, what maybe should be added to that.
Mm-hmm.
But we are following the ordinance. That spent quite a bit of time, years, in developing the ordinance to come up with what we should do here. Flooding, you know, with regard to flooding, we hear it, we understand it. It's always good to hear it. I always hear neighbors talking about it because it is an important issue. You all know the process that we go through to get permitted on a project like this relative to stormwater issues.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question about
Yeah.
your buffer? And I don't know, I mean, I realize it's residential to residential, but is there a reason that you're planting shrubs outside of the wall as opposed to something that might screen the higher homes like trees? You know,
Let me bring Christy up. I'll let
because
her-
an 8-foot wall is not going to screen a 35-foot home, but trees over time might, in fact, screen a 35 or better screen a 35-foot home.
Christy Barrera with Height Design. So a row of shrubs is required. We're putting them on the outside of our fence, so it's screening the fence a little bit, and then we're putting twice as many trees behind the fence as would be required in the standard buffer. So twice as many trees, shrubs on the Pilot Country side of the fence, and then an 8-foot fence or wall instead of a minimum 6-foot fence or wall or hedge or berm that is permitted in the type B buffer.
So what kind of trees are you planting there?
We don't know the exact type of trees. I'm not sure if the land development code has a specific type, but
Says.
I'm just trying to
50
figure out,
feet.
are you planting trees that would screen a 35-foot home?
I don't believe that that is level of details in the land development code, and that level of detail is not in our proposed buffer at this time either.
Barb, would there be an opposition to single-story homes on that property line? I mean, those are
I just
60-foot
don't
lots,
think,
right?
I don't think that's a reasonable ask.
Okay. Those are
I mean-
60-foot lots though, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But if we would be happy to sharpen our pencils on the buffer. You know,
Well,
if
I
that's something
mean,
that you
and
wanted
to be
to,
clear, I was
you
not
know,
asking you
it's-
to reduce
there's
the
a lot
height
of
of the
different ways to do
homes.
it.
I was asking whether you could commit to trees that would actually provide better screening.
Arborvitae comes to mind. I know we did a specific buffer over at on Ridge Road, for the apartments next to the homes at Tanglewood and Ridge. So maybe there is something. So I wouldn't mind sharpening our pencil on the buffer. We've done it before. I can't imagine it's make or break for this project. If we can sharpen our pencil on the buffer and look for, I think it's Arborvitae that we came up with for another project that's fast growing and it fills in.
Right, yeah. I
So
think
we'd be
that's-
happy to, I would be happy to commit to sharpen our pencil immediately before the board meeting and come up with maybe some more specifics as to what we're going to plant.
David, I have a question for you. You got asked the other day at the board hearing on the tree ordinance, how it works with clearing agricultural property and then coming and applying for a rezoning. How does that work?
So, yeah, the general rule is that if you are clearing property under an agricultural exemption, that you have to basically wait 5 years before you can submit an application for development unless you're going to mitigate for that tree removal under the ag exemption. You can turn around and immediately develop after you've cleared under an ag exemption, but you're going to have to mitigate for that tree removal.
Okay. And that's done at the site plan level?
Yes. So you're not prohibited from clearing under an ag exemption and then developing, and just you're going to have to mitigate for it.
I see. And then how do we determine how many trees were taken out?
You use aerial photos from and/or representative samples from trees in the area. But we can use aerial photos to determine the trees that were there.
Yeah, it appears up in the northwest corner of this development that a significant amount of clearing happened between 2020 and 2023.
So if that was done under
Looks like
an
some
ag,
wetland impact was done there as well.
so if that was done under an ag exemption and they haven't met the required time frame, they'll have to mitigate for those
Can you put up the
trees.
property appraiser map? I said, can you put up the property appraiser map? So if you can put on the 2020 aerial photograph, If you go in the upper, the four squares down on the bottom. Sorry, you're looking at Pasco number, yeah. Yeah. You can see up in the northwest corner of the property, it's all keep going north with your cursor, right to the left of where your cursor is. Yeah, right to the right. Yep, right there. Now flip to the 2023.
Yeah.
And they're all gone.
Mhm.
So again, they'll have to, if it doesn't meet the terms of the ordinance, they'll have to mitigate for that removal.
We will acknowledge the ordinance on the record. I don't know anything else about it. But
Maybe some of that mitigation will be planting trees in this buffer.
I would be looking at the northeast corner of that area that was cleared, because that looks like it was a wetland that was impacted as well.
Christie, along those lines, I can tell in the information, is there a formal determination of the wetland lines, or is there not currently? Are they still
I
preliminary?
don't believe the wetlands have been formally set yet. I don't
Okay.
believe SwiftMud has been out, so that will happen before the site plan is approved.
Did you anticipate any impacts to your site plan from that?
Very minimal, if any. I have to go back and look at the plan, but these are category 1 wetlands for the most part, and so we were not planning on impacting them at all.
Okay.
It looks like there may have already been some.
Yeah, to John's point.
We'll definitely get the experts out there, and they'll let us know if any have been impacted or not.
Well, I think in order to deal with some of the concerns that David mentioned and some of the neighbors have brought up, I think it's important to, I think you've already said that you'll look into putting a heavy tree line there of trees that will mitigate the
we will
visual problems.
We will enhance the enhanced buffer.
Okay.
And we'll specify the actual species, their spacing. I know what to do.
Yeah.
We know what to do,
I know
Christie
you
and I.
know what to do, yeah.
If you include that in your motion, we will
Yeah, just
we'll make sure to do that.
Did you have any comment on the location of the park behind the applicant's property there?
No, I'm not sure. I think that was just a comment, a fact. Heights laying out of the best location for a park wasn't directed by anybody.
Seems convenient.
It was, on the record, and Christie can testify as well, her layout was not directed by anybody.
Right, so if you put the layout back up, the road that curves to the west, that tees into the north-south road, we went through in between the two wetlands. And so at the end of that road is where we put the neighborhood park. In the conditions, it says, that the park could be moved. Again, this is a binding concept plan, so we would have to show that to staff if it was to be moved to a different place on the site. But we thought, teeing into that would be a nice look for the community.
And I know there were some concerns from everybody, I think, about water runoff and how that might affect their future wetland areas. Maybe one of the engineers we have on the board here could explain how the county handles that. They might not be familiar with it.
I would tell you, to me, that is not a major concern. They will have to get permits from the Water Management District and demonstrate that the runoff after development doesn't exceed the amount of runoff leaving the site before development for the design storm events, and they'll have to do the same at the county level. So I don't really have too much of a concern about them causing flooding.
additional flooding.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to address that because I know it's concerned and most of the people may not know how we handle that.
And floodplains are accounted for, as you can see on the concept plan, and there's separate floodplain compensation areas as well, so that aspect is looked at too.
And those are all things that are heavily scrutinized by the Water Management District when they go in to get a permit. So like I said, I have not a whole lot of concern about that.
Okay. David, anything else?
I have nothing else.
Okay, any other concerns, questions?
The only other one, Barbara, that I had in my notes from the public's comments is, not that I agree with it, but the viability of the hotel. Did you have any, or?
No, we think it's a good location for a
I
hotel.
would agree. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to risk their money, that's up to them, right? So, all right, if there are no further questions or comments, do you have a motion? I'm sorry, we can only come up once. Does anybody like to hear extra comments? Typically we give you one opportunity to come up and speak. And do you have something else you can add to it? I want you can't speak from back there, first of all. Please come forward and I'll accept you as a.
Okay, just wanted to.
You need to give your name and address again.
Mark Budd, 11748
We need to give you your name
Drive
and address again.
Mark Budd, 11748 Driver Lane.
Okay, that way they know who's speaking.
Okay, so just to give you an idea, I'm probably 15 feet from you. That ceiling's probably 15 feet. That's a setback. Double that, more than double that. Picture a wall is outside the back of my yard. Okay, now there would be a potentially another 15 feet, so 30 feet by 35 feet. 10 foot between those buildings all along our perimeter. That doesn't really lend itself to a very good view out the back of our yard, plus the site right down into my home.
Well, that's why we're talking about putting up the larger trees.
Yeah, and how long is that going to take for those trees to grow to heights?
Well, the problem is if you don't own the property and you're not paying the taxes on it.
I understand it. I'm not against, but I just want.
You have to, we have to meet somewhere in the middle because we can't just ignore somebody's
somewhere in the
request to
middle
use their
might be
property.
a single story on that size lot. You could easily get probably I think even with the setbacks, 3,700 square foot home.
Well, there are plenty of examples all over the county and every other county where they have two-story homes right next to one-story homes. And so we're trying to do our best to mitigate any impact that it has on the one-story homes, but it doesn't mean that we can just completely get rid of them.
Right, and the thing is, you know, today he has AR zoning. He could come in and apply for a subdivision today with 1 acre lots, and they could build a wall. Somebody could build a wall or a 2 or 3 story house behind your home without having to come here to a public hearing.
Yeah,
So
they could, but
at
maybe
least
not
they-
that density though.
Well,
It's
I
the combination of the
understand that.
density and the height that becomes a problem. It's both together. So a compromise would be to lower and still get the size home that you would desire.
So on Driver Lane, I'm seeing north of the developers, 2 lots north of the developer's property, or one of the developer's properties. I'm seeing some vacant lots. You could say the same thing on the other side of the property. Well, what if someone built a 2 or 3 story home on one of those lots and then felt like the people that own this property then feel like their privacy is being invaded?
Yeah, you could. But I didn't buy next to it.
Yeah, but to Mr. Gray's point, they they own that property and they pay the taxes on that property. And unfortunately, they get to do with their property what they.
So all of us that are along with the homes that we have, which are high dollar homes, we're gonna just be looking at nothing but big old blocks behind our house.
There would be nothing that stops him from building big old blocks today without coming to a public hearing like this.
Well, that's why I'm here,
All right.
just for consideration.
Barbara, did you want to rebut any more?
Only if the planning commission has more questions. Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion?
You should take action on these separately.
Okay. So we'll take action on P8 first. Okay, so I hear a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second with modifications and everything.
I think the modifications are probably on P9.
On P9, yeah. Okay. So any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, and P9 with the modifications that we talked about.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Any further discussion of the motions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay. Motion carries. And then we have the county commission meeting coming up too. You can address some concerns there as well. All right. Anything else?
Mr. Chair, we have no published noted items for today.
Pardon me?
No published noted items.
Okay. All right. Any other motions?
Move adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Carries.
Have you met Ted? Pasco County's Transportation Engineering Department, or TED, is responsible for building and operating a safe,